Hello guys, and this is Jeronim the Reader. I'm back with another video, and now we are going to continue our book, Thea Stilton and the Roman Holiday. So let's begin from chapter 7 today. Chapter 11. Chapter 11. Here we go again. The next afternoon, the teams gathered in the main square in Rome's Monte neighborhood, just 4 steps away from the incredible Colosseum. The team stood around the octagonal fountain in the middle of the square. Everyone was eager to start the second day of the competition. For today's challenge, Orestes will give us each team a package, Professor Angel announced. You must wait to open it until your entire team arrives at the Colosseum. Each package contains a specific question. Oh, and one more thing. Today's competition will end at 7 on the dot. But what if no one manages to solve the puzzle by then? Midori asked. In that case, we won't have a winner, Professor Angel replied with a smile. But don't worry, that's never happened in previous competitions. Are you ready, team? Colette asked her friends. The Thea sisters smiled enthusiastically. Orest put up his paw to get everyone's attention. As we mentioned yesterday, the Italian team will have to start 15 minutes after the other team since they are more familiar with the area. Flaminia sighed. Let's hope we can make up the time, she told her teammates. Don't worry, we will, Alexander reassured her confidently. Good, Professor Angel said. Now, is everyone ready to begin? Yes, the students squeaked enthusiastically. Ready, set, go, Professor Angel cried. Everyone except the Italian team scampered toward the Colosseum. The Thea sisters had to pause for a moment to admire what they saw at the end of the road. They glimpsed an incredible view of the ancient Roman amphitheater they had been so many times in their art and history textbook. It's even more beautiful than I imagined, Violet remarked. It is incredible, Nikki agreed. But look, the other teams are way ahead of us. She pointed toward the French, Russian, and Japanese teams who had almost reached the Colosseum already. You're right, Pamela exclaimed. Let's go. And she darted off at top speed after the other contestants. It took a few minutes to reach the Colosseum and a few more for them to get inside. Now we can open the package, Paulina said eagerly as she began to unwrap it. Chapter 12. Calculations at the Colosseum. There's a drawing in here, Paulina exclaimed. The Thea sisters gathered around her to examine the contents of the package. Holy cheese! What do you think it is? Pam asked. It looks like a geometry problem. Violet analyzed the drawing for a few minutes. I think I understand mouselets, she said at last. Judging from the shape, this looks like a floor plan of the Colosseum. Genius, why? Colette told her friend. Why didn't we realize that right away? I think we need to head toward this marking, Nikki said, pointing to a red dot on the perimeter of the building in the drawing. But which side is that? Colette asked. We entered from the south entrance, Violet observed, so we need to go to west. Let's hurry, Nikki said, and a second later she was off. Her friends followed, moving around the perimeter of the building until they reached the spot that corresponded to the red dot on the map. Let's look carefully, Paulina urged them. The next clue must be around this archway. Paulina, Pam, Nikki and Colette began to explore every inch of the structure around them. But Violet stood quietly off to the side, lost in thought. Why, aren't you going to help us? Colette asked. Yes, of course, Violet said distractedly. I was just thinking that this seems too easy. What do you mean? Colette asked. I just think we might be missing something, Violet replied. There's nothing here, Nikki exclaimed. I haven't found anything either, Pam said. Maybe we are in the wrong spot, Paulina added. Or maybe Violet is right and we missed something, Colette reflected. Paulina, did you look all over the package? Yes, I thought so, Paulina replied. Wait, there's something else in here. She pulled out a sheet of paper. Sorry, Marslets, Paulina apologized. I was in such a rush, I didn't see it. It's okay, Nikki reassured her friend. Let's take a look. More math, Pam groaned. Don't worry, this is an easy one, Paulina reassured her. Each picture corresponds to a number. For example, if 6 equals 3 capitally involves, we need to figure out what number repeated 3 times equals 6. The answer is 2, Colette called out. Yes, Paulina agreed. And if 6 minus 2 Colosseum makes 4, that means the Colosseum equals 1. Finally, the capitally involved plus the Colosseum makes 3, and 4 times 3 equals 12. But what does that tell us? Nikki asked. I think it has something to do with this line at the bottom of the package. Toward the rising sun, Violet said. What if we count 12 arches east of the red dot in the direction of the rising sun? Without wasting another moment, the five mouselets walked to the right, counting the archways. Still nothing. A familiar voice squeaked suddenly. The Thea sisters stopped in their paw tracks. Milenie had strayed from her group. You won't beat us this time, she said. We've almost figured out the next clue. Good for you, Milanie, Paulina remarked. Now, if you will excuse us, we still need to finish this riddle. We're almost there. Milenie wrinkled her nose. What do you mean? She asked skeptically. You were fumbling around in the dark until 2 minutes ago, and now you have almost solved the puzzle? Why don't you worry about your team instead of ours? Colette asked, a little irritated. Milenie just shrugged. I do what I want, she said, and if you think I care at all about anyone else, you are fooling yourselves. And then she turned around and marched off. She's so mean, Colette huffed. Forget about it, Coco, Nikki said. She isn't worth the time. And here's the 12th arc. Look, Paulina exclaimed. There's something in that corner. She leaned down and picked up a box that had mouseboard written on it. Hooray! We found the clue! The mouselet squeaked happily. Meanwhile, Violet noticed that instead of returning to her team, Milenie had ducked behind another column to make a phone call. Chapter 13. We need some help. Inside the box, the Thea sisters found a piece of paper that read Last Clue and a small wooden tile. There's something written on it, Pam squeaked. Paulina studied the tile closely. It says, The First Complete Treatise of Medicine in Latin, page 30, she read. Then she turned the tile over. There's just one word on the back. Bassianus. The mouselets looked at one another. Does anyone have any idea what the treatise of medicine could be? Colette asked. The five friends shook their heads in silence. And Bassianus? Pam asked. It means nothing to me. Could it be a place? I don't know, Violet admitted, a bit disheartened. Nikki shook her head too. If only we could use the internet, Pam said with a sigh. We could find out the answer so quickly. The professor's rules were clear, Paulina said firmly. We have to figure it out on our own. Let's not lose hope, mouselets, Colette said. We'll find a solution this time too. I'm sure of it. You're right, Coco, but we could use some help, Violet pointed out. Let's think carefully, Paulina said. Before the internet, where did mice go for answers? Of course, Nikki squeaked. They went to the library. Let's go. Once they were outside the Colosseum, though, the friends stopped. But how will we find a library? Pam asked. We could go back to the university, Nikki suggested. But that would take a lot of time. I have an idea, Colette said. Then she approached an elderly mouse who was crossing the square. A few minutes later, Colette returned to the group smiling brightly. I have great news, she announced. There's a library less than a 10-minute walk from here. That mouse was really helpful. She even gave me directions. Follow me. The Thea sisters followed Colette down a road that crossed through archaeological sites that had once been ancient Roman squares. Look, Violet pointed out. On our left is the Trajan Forum, and there's the famous Trajan's column over there. The five friends approached to admire the column, which was covered in carvings and topped with an ornate statue. Remember what Professor Angel talked about this column in her seminar at Mousewood Academy? Paulina asked. I never imagined I would have the chance to see it in the fall. Violet, didn't the professor tell us the bas relief shows the battle between the Romans and the Dacians for control of the ancient region of Dacia near the Danube River? Colette asked. But Violet didn't seem to hear her. Instead, she seemed to be focusing on something behind Colette. Why? Colette repeated a little louder. Huh? Violet replied. Oh, Dacia, yes, of course, that's right. Is everything okay? Colette asked her friend. You seem distracted. Violet lowered her squeak to a whisper. Sorry, she told her friends. I just feel like someone is following us. Have you noticed anything? The others shook their head. Maybe the stretch of the competition is bothering you, Nikki replied. But we are almost at the end. Yes, you are probably right, Violet agreed. I am feeling anxious about the competition. A clue. Violet thinks someone may be following their team. Did you notice anything or anyone suspicious on page number 102? Come on, team, Nikki said encouragingly. The library is super close and the next task isn't going to be easy. We need to find the first complete treatise of medicine in Latin and see if we can figure out what the mysterious word Bassianus means. The five mice scampered quickly towards the library. Chapter 14. Together again. Once they were inside the library, the team split up the work. Pam, Nikki and Violet took the task of figuring out what the first medical treatise in Latin was, while Colette and Paulina tried to figure out the meaning of the word Bassianus. I think we should head for the archives, Paulina suggested. It contains a list of all the books in the library. Good idea, Paulina, Colette agreed. Even without the internet, the library's computers might be really useful. Meanwhile, the other three mice headed for the medical books. These are the first treatises, but they are in ancient Greek, Nikki pointed out. Let's look over here, Pam suggested as she moved farther down the row of books. I think that shelf has books that are in Latin. Violet began to leaf through some ancient volumes. After a few minutes, she squeaked in excitement. I have found it. This book cites the Treatise de Medicina by Olo Cornelio Celso. It's not here on the shelf, Nikki said after she had looked. Let's check the computer archive. Hi, a familiar voice squeaked suddenly. Luca, Mario! Nikki exclaimed in surprise. What are you doing here? We are trying to decipher our clue, Luca explained, but we are running behind since we started 15 minutes after everyone else. Where's Alessandro? Violet asked. He's still at the entrance. The guard is a former classmate of his, so he stopped to say hello. At that moment, Colette and Paulina reappeared. We figured out what Bassianus means, Colette bursted out excitedly. Then she saw the members of the Italian team. Hi, you're here too? They're doing research just like us, Nikki exclaimed, though they're a bit further behind because of their late start. Why don't we join forces again? Colette proposed. Even if we have different clues, the answer is the same for everyone. And we are already in a good place. The alien team exchanged a glance, looking unsure. We don't want to take advantage of your kindness, Flaminia said at last. And I'm not sure if we are allowed to collaborate at this point. Don't you remember what Professor Angel said? Violet reminded them. As long as everyone is on the same page, working together can be very useful. That's true, Rita agreed. Why not? What have you figured out so far? We have two clues, the word Bassianus and a specific page of the first treatise of medicine in Latin, Nikki said, filling in the Italian team. And we just discovered that Bassianus is a name, Colette said. It was Emperor Caracalla's name at birth. And we have figured out that the treatise we need to find is called De Medicina. It's in this library, but we don't know exactly where. Let's go back to the archive, Paulina suggested. Chapter 15, Underground Research. As the group of students headed down the hallway toward the archives, they crossed paths with Alessandro. You are all here? He asked, stunned. The mouseboard team proposed that we team up again, Luca explained. They almost solved the riddle. We only have 10 minutes before the library closes, Lita observed, looking at her watch. We need to hurry. I wouldn't worry too much about that, Alessandra said, smiling. The library guard, Giovanni, was my classmate. I explained why we are here and he said we can stay as long as we need to. Excellent, everyone cheered. Now let's go look for the book that will help us to solve the riddle. De Medicina by Paulo Cornelio Gelso, Pam said. Violet chuckled. What an imagination you have, Pam. Violet said, his name is Olo Cornelio Celso. Did I say something different? Pam asked, confused. Oh, well, you know who I mean. The group split up and each took a different corner of the library. Violet and Alessandro paired up. Who was this Olo Cornelio Celso? Alessandro asked. He was a Roman who wrote about medicine in the ancient Roman world, Violet explained. In De Medicina, he united all the Greek and Latin knowledge into one book. I'm afraid there's no sign of it here, said the disappointed Alessandro, shaking his head. Violet glanced around at her friends, who were also searching for the books. The others haven't found it either, she said, disappointed. What if we look downstairs? Alessandro suggested. What do you mean? Violet asked. It might be in the basement archive, Alessandro explained. The librarian might have moved it down there at some point. But that would be locked, wouldn't it? Yes, but I have the keys, Alessandro replied with a wink. Giovanni gave them to me. Okay, let's try it. Violet agreed enthusiastically. The pair quickly headed toward the metal door. On the other side of the door, a long winding staircase led down to the basement. Alessandro flicked the switch and a dim light illuminated the steps. Let's go, Violet whispered. At the end of the stairs was another door. Alessandro opened it with the key, which jammed in the lock. Let's not waste any time, he said. I'll grab the key on our way out. On the other side of the door A small hallway led to a dusty room full of old volumes. Achoo! Alessandro sneezed. Excuse me, it's just so dusty. Here it is, Violet exclaimed happily as she pulled a book off the shelf. Look! Alessandro took the book that she handed him. Etched in golden letters on the spine were the words De Medicina. Wow, this is really it? Alessandro exclaimed. Now what do? We need to look at page. Oh, I can't remember, Violet replied in dismay. Don't worry. Alessandro reassured her. We can go upstairs and show the others. Someone will remember the page number. Violet followed Alessandro back toward the stair. At the end of the hallway, though, a terrible surprise awaited them. The door is stuck! Alessandro exclaimed. He pulled hard, but it won't budge. It feels like it's locked. But how? I left the door open, right? I don't know. And the keys are on the other side. What could have happened? Maybe a gust of wind blew it closed. This stinks worse than moldy cheese, Alessandro said, sighing. We really didn't need this setback. We're down here, Violet yelled loudly as she pointed on the door. Open up! I don't think they can hear you, Alessandro said. Should we try to call them? Do you have your phone? Violet pulled out her phone. Oh no, she said in defeat. There's no service down here. Then I don't think there is anything we can do, Alessandro said, disheartened. We just have to wait. So only this much for today, friends. I was very happy reading to you, and in my next video we'll be completing this book. It is almost complete. It's just 4 to 5 chapters are left, and that will cover in the next video. Till then, to get the latest updates, subscribe to my channel. If you like this video, hit the like button, and bye bye.